This unit has been organized into topics that allow you to easily follow the instruction and learn systematically. Most of the topics have 7 segments. They are: first, design analysis; second, overview; third, manual demonstration; fourth, virtual fitting; fifth, comparison; sixth, self-assessment; and seventh, exercise. Design analysis is a graphic video. It will give you an idea about the final design of the garment. The graphic captures all the design features and these are explained in detail. Sometimes, if required, more than one design is explained for your benefit. You may also see 360-degree view of the design. When viewing this video, you may pause or run slow motion to get the clear idea about the design. Once you understand the design analysis, you may move on to overview. Overview is again a graphic video which gives you an idea about how to manipulate the patterns. A useful feature is the step-by-step reference that gives the instruction from the beginning to the end. If you are experienced, you can manipulate the pattern to suit your requirement by watching the overview. The overview will run less than 5 minutes, so I suggest that you watch it repeatedly till you understand the process thoroughly. This is followed by manual demonstration. In the manual demonstration, the actual pattern manipulation is demonstrated, while the overview will give you a better idea about the pattern manipulation. Manual demonstration explains in detail the procedure to actually perform the task. It will be lengthy video as the pattern manipulating process is thoroughly explained here. Additionally, you may see the various techniques such as pattern drafting, cutting, labeling, and truing. Next to manual demonstration is the virtual fitting 3D animation. This animation explains about the position of the patterns on the body. It also gives an idea about how to stitch the garment using blue color stitching line. Observe these lines carefully to get an idea about how to stitch. Virtual fitting also shows the 3D simulation of how the 2-dimensional patterns are converted to 3-dimensional shape after stitching. Generally, each part of the garment is rendered with different fabric to differentiate the various garment parts. Proper stitching details such as single needle lock stitch on the dots are also given to get the better visualization. This 3D simulation is done on different positions. This will help you get better understanding of the fitting. In this video, you may also find the wire mesh design of the garment. In the wire mesh mode, you can clearly see the relationship between garment and the body. You can also see how garment fits on the body, stitch lines on the body, dots both starting and ending position, and garment flares, etc. The models are rotated to get the better understanding on how it fits all over the body. This will be a short video. It is advisable to view this many times to get most out of this video. The virtual fitting is followed by comparison. In the comparison, generally the basic pattern fittings or source pattern fitting is compared with the manipulated pattern fitting. It shows the step-by-step comparison by rotating both the garment 360 in the same position. This will allow you to compare the front, back and side of the model and gives you a better understanding about the manipulated design. I suggest that you either pause the video or move the slider forward or backward to get most out of this video. The design analysis, overview, manual demonstration, virtual fitting and comparison is a guide to understand the design efficiently and will give an excellent idea about how to manipulate the pattern and its fitting. Now it's time for self-analysis. You can make your own basic bodice pattern. Please refer Unit 2 on how to make your own basic bodies. If you do not have the basic bodies, you may download the required pattern for the demonstration purpose. You may find the initial or start pattern that are required for the particular topic. All the patterns are available in PDF format. The patterns are in actual size. Users have some options while taking printouts. Option 1. If the user has large size plotter, example 36 inches or more, you can take the actual size easily. You may also use the CAD printer. Option 2. If you have A3 or A4 size printer, use the poster printout option like Adobe Reader. A separate video is included here that explains the procedure to take the poster print and join the printouts together to get the original size pattern. Option 3. You may take the printout in reduced size like 50% or 25% scale so that the pattern fits into A3 or A4 size pattern. The final pattern may also be taken in the same scale for verification. I have taken printout of front basic bodies. I enable the label, so you can see the numbers here. This shows 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2. Spread as per the numbers. I given half an inch overlap so that if something goes wrong, I have a half an inch space to play with. So you can see F is printed on both the sheets. Draw the lines. I am drawing the center line. Then fold the line. and match it. So make sure that you are getting a smooth continuation. And put the tape. Then cut the pattern. This unit has been organized into topics that allow you to easily follow the instruction and learn systematically. Most of the topics have 7 segments. They are: first, design analysis; second, overview; third, manual demonstration. Fourth, virtual fitting. Fifth, comparison. Sixth, self-assessment. And seventh, exercise. Design analysis is a graphic video. It will give you an idea about the final design of the garment. The graphic captures all the design features and these are explained in detail. Sometime, if required, more than one design is explained for your benefit. You may also see 360-degree view of the design. You can decide your grind line. It can be parallel to this side or parallel to here or middle, which will give different effect. So now you learn how to make unequal fullness. Yes. 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 Create graduated, radiating and asymmetric, intersecting and parallel dot by dividing a single dot excess into multiples. Explain why dot excess remain in design where the style line do not cross bust point. Describe the princess, armhole princess and panel style lines. Now we are going to see how to transfer the dot by using slash and spread method. For this, I am using single waist dot sloper. I am going to transfer this dot to as a French dot. First, decide your plot line. I am marking 2 inches from the bottom. Then connect that point to bust point. Slash the pattern. Cut from the edge side seam to the bust point. Stop 1/8 before so that you can spread the pattern. A, B, C. Now pivot at the bust point and move A to B. A dot will open at C as a French dot. Then trace the pattern. Mark the bust point. Then remove the working pattern. Connect the center front line. Join the dot to bust point. This will make a dot leg. Here give extra space for the dot axis. Mark the midpoint of the dot. Cup the pattern by folding the dot. If it is a horizontal dot, crease the lower dot leg. The dot axis should be towards down. Join the line. Then draw the grind line and complete the pattern by writing all the labels. This method is called slash and spread method, since we are slashing this plot line and spreading the pattern to get the dots. We have another method called pivotal transfer method, which you will learn in next topic. Now you learn how to make French dot on slash method. Now I am going to show you how to transfer waist dot into a French dot by using pivotal transfer method. For this I am using single waist dot sloper. First you draw a plot line where you record a dot. So from the side seam I am marking 2 inches. Then draw a line from there to bust point. Mark dot legs A and B and French dot position to C. In this method we are going to rotate the bodies based on the pivotal point. Pivotal point is the dot end point, the highest point. Since I want to transfer this dot to here, this portion going to move. So don't trace this position. You can start from B and trace the pattern till C in anti-clockwise. Draw till C only. Now pivot at the bust point and move A to B. So it will rotate the pattern, move till it touches the dot point, another leg. Then you trace A to C in the clockwise direction. Mark C. Now remove the pattern, connect dot point to bus point. Now we transfer base dot to French dot by using pivotal transfer method. You can compare this pattern with slash and spread method. You can see the dots coming on the same position. Both slash and spread and pivotal transfer method will give the same result, only the methodology is different. For beginners, I am suggesting you can use slash and spread method, which is straightforward. Once you experience, then you can use pivotal method, which is faster and time saving process.
This design consists of front waist dot, back waist dot, front underarm dot and back shoulder dot. Let's see how to convert basic bodies to this design.
First decide the dot position in the underarm level and draw a slash line from point C to apex point. Label C. Slash the line from C to apex point. Close the shoulder dot by moving point A to B. This will close the shoulder dot and open the underarm dot. Reduce the waist dot by half an inch away from apex point. Reduce the underarm dot half an inch away from apex point. The shoulder dot transfer to underarm dot. Now we are going to see how to make underarm and waist dot. To make this, use sloper of shoulder and waistline dot. First mark A and B in the shoulder dot. Mark the underarm position from the side seam where the dot is required and mark C. Now I am marking 1.5 inch from the side seam and I am marking C. Now draw a line from C to bust point. Now slash a line from C to bust point. Slash A to bust point. Now close A to B so that you can close the shoulder dot and the dot open at C. Move A to B, pivoting at bus point, join together. Now dot will open at C. Pin it. Now trace the front body sloper. Wherever there is a straight line like center front line, shoulder line, side seam after closing the dot, you mark only the corner points. Mark all the corners in L shape, and the straight line you need not to mark, but the curve lines you have to mark. Draw the neckline, draw the armhole, draw the waistline, then make the L mark for the underarm dart. Mark the bust point. Now if you make the dot till bust point, it will be two pointed. To make it smooth effect at the bust point, you have to reduce half an inch both waist dot and underarm dot. Once you confirm you have marked all the marks, remove the working pattern. Connect center front line with the straight line. Connect shoulder line using a straight ruler. Mark the midpoint of dot. Connect the midpoint to bust point. Connect the midpoint of the waist dot to bust point. Now we have to reduce half an inch. Mark half an inch from the bust point on both waist dot and underarm dot. Draw the dot legs. Since we have a dot at the waist and underarm, we have to true these shapes. For that, while cutting, you just leave 1 inch extra. Balance these lines you can cut exactly. Then we have to fold the dot, then cut. While closing the dot, if it is a horizontal dot, first fold the bottom line. Fold this line, crease this line. The excess of dot should be towards down. Creasing this line and crease the center line. If it is a vertical dot, crease the dot leg which is nearer to the center. Either it can be center front or center back. Crease the line, make the curve, then cut the line. Fold the dot, then draw the straight line. Now we made underarm and waistline dot pattern.
The closure of waist dots, underarm dots and shoulder dots, side seam and shoulder seam result in the form of fitted garment. Excess fabric is confined between waist, underarm and shoulder seam. Here it is showing the side view of the same stitching for better understanding. This shows how the garment is fitting on the body. Now let us consider these two models. In the first model, the dot is given at the level and shoulder. In the second model, the dot is given at the front underarm and waist. Back is same as first model. In these two cases, there is no change in the fitting of the garment. Only the front shoulder dot of one of the garment is relocated to underarm. The overall fitting and shape is similar in both the cases. Download the start pattern from the download section. As per the given instructions, relocate front shoulder dot to armhole dot using slash and spread or pivot techniques. Download the final pattern and check your pattern for correctness. Now let's do some exercise with different measurement of underarm dart. For example, first construct an underarm dart 1 inch below the armhole. Then try the same method with 3 inches below the armhole. This design has front waist dot, back waist dot, front armhole dot and back shoulder dot. In this design, more fitting is obtained in the armhole area.
Label A and B at shoulder dot legs. Draw a slash line from armhole to apex point. Label C at armhole, slash C to apex point. Close the shoulder dot by moving point A to B. Dot will open at point C. Reduce the waist dot half an inch away from apex point. Reduce the armhole dot half an inch away from apex point. Now we transfer shoulder dot into armhole dot. Now we are going to make armhole and waist dot. To make this, use shoulder and waist dot sloper. First mark A and B at the shoulder dot. Then decide where you want the dot at the armhole. You can mark mid armhole or anywhere you want. Now I am marking here where you want the armhole dot. Then mark C. Now connect C to bust point. Draw a line. Slash the line. Slash A to bust point. Now pivot at the bust point and close A to B. By closing A to B, the dot will open at C. Pin it. Now we have to trace this pattern. Trace all the corners. Trace the dots. Trace the bust line. Mark the bust point. Draw the neckline. Draw the waistline. Draw the armhole. Since the side seam, shoulder and center front line are straight line, you need not to mark it now. Confirm you have marked all the necessary marking, then remove the working pattern. Join the shoulder line. Join the center front line. Join the side seam. Mark the bust point. Draw the bust line. Mark the dot midpoint. For get a smooth effect, mark half an inch inside from the bust point for both armhole dot and waist dot. Draw the dot legs. Then cut all the line except where the dot is there. If you have a dot, allow 1 inch extra. We have to true and cut. So I am cutting the center line. Shoulder line. Side seam. Neckline. Then leave around 1 inch extra. For armhole and waist. Now we have to close the dot, close the bottom line, crease the bottom line and fold on the center line, crease the line which is near to center and fold on the center. Cut the pattern. close the pattern. The armhole should have a smooth shape, otherwise you can use French curve to make it smooth. The dot axis should be down. Now we made the pattern with armhole dot and waist dot. Then mark necessary marking, bust point, center front, and put notches, punch in circle to complete the pattern.
The enclosing of waist dots, armhole dots, shoulder dots, side seam and shoulder seam gives a fitted garment. We can visually analyze the fitting of the garment through this video. In this video, we can find that the required ease is given at the waist level, bust area and armhole region for the movement of the body. This is the side view of the same stitching for better understanding. This shows the relationship between model and body. Now, let us consider these two models. In the first case, the dot is given at the waist level and shoulder. In the second model, the shoulder dot is converted to armhole dot. While considering these cases, find that there is no change in the fit of the garment. Only the shoulder dot is shifted to underarm. Download the start patterns from the download section. As per the given instructions, convert front shoulder dot to armhole dot. Download the final pattern and check your pattern against the final pattern. Construct an armhole dot which is 1 inch above mid armhole. Construct an armhole dot which is 1 inch below the mid armhole. The design comprises of front and back waist dots, front neckline dot and back shoulder dots. In this design, the front neckline dot is extend from mid neck to bust point.
This video shows How to transfer shoulder dart to neckline dart. Draw a slash line from mid of neck to apex point. Label C at neckline. Slash the line from C to apex point. Close shoulder dart by moving point B to point A. This will open the dart at neckline. Reduce the dart 1 inch away from apex point. Neckline and waist dart completed. Now we are going to make neckline and waist dart. For this, use shoulder dart and waist dart sloper. To shift the shoulder dart to neckline in the front basic body sloper, first draw a straight line from bust point to mid of the neckline. You can draw anywhere in the neckline, but I am marking mid of the neckline. Then mark C. Mark A and B in the shoulder line. Now slash the line C to bust point. Then slash B to bust point. Then move B to A by pivoting bust point. And pin it. Now dot will open at C. Now trace the pattern. Mark all the corner points. Mark the dot legs. Mark the bust line. Mark the bust point. Make sure you have marked all the points. Draw the neckline shape. Draw the armhole shape. Draw the waist shape. Once you mark all the points, remove the working pattern. Join the shoulder line. Join the side seam. Join the center front line. Mark the bust point. Draw the bust level. Draw a line from bust point to mid of the waist dot. Mark midpoint in the neckline dot. Draw a line from this midpoint to bust point. You have to reduce half an inch on the neckline dot and waist dot. Mark half an inch away from the bust point. Mark half an inch away from the bust point. Redraw the dot legs. Now cut the lines. Cut the shoulder line. Cut the side seam. Cut the armhole. We have a dot at the neckline and waist, so leave half an inch to 1 inch extra for the truing purpose. Closing the dot, crease the dot leg which is nearer to the front, both armhole waist neckline dot and armhole dot. Cup the pattern, fold on the center line, open. Should have a smooth curve, otherwise you can true by using the French curve. Use the French curve for the truing the neck shape. Make it as a smooth shape. Then close the dot. Crease the center line. Crease the dart leg. And through the waistline dart. Now the dart transferring has been over. Now we have a dot at the waist and mid of neckline. Now you have to complete the pattern. For that you have to mark notches, center front lines, grind lines, other things. From this we are converting shoulder dot to mid armhole dot, mid neckline dot.
This shows the stitching of waist dot, neckline dot and shoulder seam. This shows the closing of side seam, shoulder from side view. The excess fabric is removed by closing dot and fitting is brought about. When all dots and side seam and shoulder seam is closed, the visual fit of the garment can be observed. There is a required amount of ease to be given while constructing any design. If you look carefully to this video, you can see that there is an amount of ease given at waist, bust area and armhole area. This gives us an idea how the garment will be fitting a particular person. This is the same stitching but in the side view for better understanding. This shows the relationship between body and garment. Consider these two designs. The dot allocation of the first garment is at the waist level and shoulder level in both front and back. The dot allocation of the second garment is at neckline, back shoulder, front and back waist. In both the cases, the fitting of the garment is not affected. Dot introduced in neckline or shoulder will not bring changes in fitting of the garment. Only the visual view is changed when dot is shifted. Download the start pattern from the download section. As per the given instructions, transfer shoulder dot to neckline dot using slash and spread or pivot technique. Download the final pattern and compare against your pattern. Construct similar patterns of neckline dot with different measurements. Construct neckline dot which is 1 inch far from the mid neck. Construct neckline dot which is 1 inch close to the mid neck. In this design, the dot is located at the center front and waist. There is seam at center front. Let's see how to make this design using basic blocks.
Transferring shoulder dot to center front dot. Label A and B at shoulder dot legs. Mark the dot point at center front and label C. /C to apex point. Pivot at apex point and move the point B to A. This will close the shoulder dot and create center front dot at C. Reduce the waist dot half an inch from apex point. Reduce the center front dot half an inch from apex point. Now shoulder dot transfer to center front dot. Now we are making center front and waist dot. For this use shoulder and waist dot sloper. Mark A and B in the shoulder dot of the basic body sloper. Desire where you want the slash line, where you want the dot at the center front, and mark C. You can decide anywhere. I am marking here. Draw a line from bus point to C. Slash the line joining the point B. As well as slash the line from bus point to C. Pivot at bus point and move the B to A. And pin it. The spread at the point C while closing B to A. Now trace the bodies. Mark the corner points. Draw the armhole shape. Draw the neckline. Draw the waist seam. Then mark the dot legs and dot center. Mark the bust point. Make sure you have marked all the points, then remove the working pattern. Mark the midpoint of the dot. Draw the center line. Both center front dot and waist dot. Mark half an inch down from the bust point. Mark half an inch away from the bust point. Connect the dot legs. Draw the shoulder line. Draw the side seam. Since we have a dot at the center front and waist, don't cut it exactly, leave 1 inch extra. Cut the shoulder line. Cut the side seam. Cut the armhole. Cut the neckline. Leave extra for the truing of the dot for both center front and waist level. Crease bottom of the dot leg. Crease the dot leg which is nearer to the center. Crease center line. Cut the pattern. And true if required. Make a smooth line. Cut the waistline. Fold the center line. Fold the bottom of the dot. make a straight line. Then cut the center front line by closing the dart. Now the shoulder dart has been converted to the center front dart. Mark center front and draw the grind line parallel to the center front. And complete the pattern by giving the notches, punch and circle and other label informations. Now you learn how to convert shoulder dart to center front dart. By this we are converting shoulder dart to center front dart.
The closure of front waist dart, center front dart and center shown in this view. The closure of side seam and shoulder seam is shown in this view. The closing of shoulder and waist dart at the back along with front gives the fitting. When all the darts and seams are closed together, the garment is formed in its desired shape and fitting. If we look at the design, we can see that ease for the movement is given at the waist, bust and armhole area. This is the same stitching but from the side view. This shows the garment relation to the body. The first design has shoulder and waist darts at the front and back. The second design has center front and waist dart in the front bodies, shoulder and waist darts at back bodies. In the second design, the shoulder dart is transferred to center front dart. When we look at the fitting, both the garments with the different dart styles gives the same fitting to the body. Download the front bodies from the download section According to the instruction, develop a neckline dot from the basic block using slash and spread or pivot technique. Download the final pattern and check your pattern matching with the downloaded pattern. Now construct similar pattern with center front dot just 2 and 4 inches above the bust level. Construct another pattern with center front dot just 4 inch below bust level. Try one pattern with horizontal dot at bust level. This design consists of French dot. The dot starts below the bust level at side seam to the bust point. There is only one dot at the front. In the back bodies, there is a shoulder dot and waist dot.
Let's see how to make French dot. Label A and B at waist dot legs. Draw slash line from lower side seam to apex point and label C. Slash C to apex point. Close the waist dot by moving point A to B. A French dot will be created at point C. Reduce the dot length half an inch away from apex point. French dot completed. We are going to make French dot. French dot is a dot which comes on the side seam in an angle towards bust point. It can come anywhere in the side seam and mostly it will come 1/3 below the side seam. The advantage of the dot is it will go on the side seam while wearing. It may not visible in the front view. It is most popular and you can see in many garments. Now to make the French dot, use waist dot sloper, only one dot is there. Mark A and B of the waist dot legs and decide your French dot position. I am marking 3.5 inches from the waist level and mark C. Connect C to bust point. Then slash the line. Now move the point to B so that the waist dot will be closed, the dot will open at side seam. Pivot at the bust point and close A to B. Then secure the pattern with pins. Trace the pattern. Mark all corner points. Mark waist seam. Mark armhole. Mark neckline. Mark the dart legs. Mark the bust point. Once you complete all the marking, remove the working pattern. Connect shoulder line. Connect center front line. Since we have a dot here, don't draw the line now, you have to draw the dot. First, mark the midpoint of the French dart. Connect midpoint of the dot to the bust point. Mark half an inch inside. Draw the dot legs. Then cut the pattern. You can use scissors also. Cut the waistline. Give 1 inch extra. the French dart. Take the pattern out. Since it's a horizontal dot, crease the bottom of dot leg. Crease the center of the dot line. Cup the pattern. Then connect as a straight line. And through the side seam. By this, we are converting waist dot to bust dot. Now you have learned how to convert waist dot to French dot.
Excess fabric confined at the French dot. When the French dot is placed at the position, the fit is obtained. The required amount of ease is given at the bust level, waist and armhole areas. Now see the model to understand where exactly the required ease is given. This is the side view stitching for better understanding. This shows the relationship between body and garment. In the first model, the dot is given at the waist and shoulder levels. In the second model, the dot is given only at the side seam. In both the cases, only the design is changed. The fitting of the garment is not changed. Download the front bodies from the download section. Now follow the instructions and convert basic block to French dot design. Download the final pattern from the download section. Your final pattern should match with downloaded final pattern. Construct another pattern with French dot 3 inches below the bust level. This garment design includes a neckline dot in the front bodies and waist and shoulder dots at the back bodies. The neckline dots start from the neck and ends above the bust point.
Let's see how to make neckline dot. Use waist dot sloper and label A and B at waist dot legs. Draw a slash line from neckline to apex point and label C at neckline. Slash C to apex point. Pivot at apex point and close the waist dot by moving point A to B. It will create neckline dot at C. Reduce the dot length half an inch from apex point. Now the waist dot transfer to neckline dot. Start. Now we are going to make neckline dot. For this, use single waist dot sloper and mark A and B at the waist dot legs. Decide where you want the neckline dot. Here you can mark anywhere. I am marking 1 inch from the center front neckline. Then mark C. Now draw a straight line from C to bust point. Slash the line. Now by closing A to B, we are going to open C, thus make neckline dot. Pivot at the bust point. Then close A to B. So that C will open and make neckline dot. Pin it securely. Draw all the corners. Draw the armhole. Draw the neckline. Draw the waist seam. Mark the bust point. Once you mark all the points, remove the working pattern. join the center seam, join the shoulder, join the side seam, mark the midpoint of the dot, connect to the bus point, mark half an inch above the bus point, connect the dot legs, now we are going to cut the pattern. Cut the center front line, cut the side seam, cut the shoulder, cut the waistline seam, cut the armhole, we have to true the dot, so give additional space here. Crease the dot which is nearer to the center front. Crease the center of the dot. Cup the pattern. And make sure you should have a smooth neck curve. Then cut the neckline. So now you learn how to convert waistline dot to neckline dot.
While stitching the dart, the excess fabric at the neckline is removed. The closure of neckline dart brings in-fitting to the garment. The excess fabric at side seam and shoulder seam is removed and the garment is made to fit to the body. While stitching all the seams, it gives the fitting to the body. Now you can see the same stitching from the side view. This shows the relation between model and the body. When we consider these two models, in the first design, there is a shoulder and waist dart at the front and back bodies. In the second design, there is a neckline dart at the front, there is a shoulder dart and waist dart in the back bodies. Both the models gives similar fittings. Download the front bodies from the download section. Follow the instruction and make neckline dart. Download final pattern. Compare your pattern with downloaded pattern. Now let us practice some neckline dot construction. Construct front bodies with mid shoulder dot. Construct front bodies with neckline dart at the center front of the neck. The garment design has a shoulder neckline dart in the front bodies. And shoulder and waist dart in the back bodies. The shoulder and waist dart of front bodies is transferred to shoulder neckline dart. This dart extends from the intermediate between neckline and shoulder and ends above the bust point.
Let's see how to make shoulder neckline dart. Use waist dart sloper. Mark A and B at waist dart legs. Mark C at shoulder at neckline. Draw a slash line from C to apex point. Slash from C to apex point. Close the waist dart by moving point A to B. This will open a dart at shoulder at neckline. Reduce the dart length half an inch from apex point. Shoulder neckline dart completed.
The closure of shoulder neckline dart, side seam back shoulder dot and waist dot result in the formation of fitted garment. When the excess fabric is removed from the dot and side seams, the fit is naturally obtained. The visual analysis about the garment fitting can be understood from this video. This is the same stitching from side view for better understanding. This shows the relationship between model and garment. The first garment has a waist and shoulder dot in the front and back. The second garment has a shoulder neckline dot in the front and waist and shoulder dot at the back. Both the garments gives similar fitting. Download the basic front pattern from the download section. Now, as per the given instructions, convert waist dot into shoulder neckline dot using pivot or slash and spread technique. Download the final pattern and check your pattern against the final pattern. Let's do some exercise with different shoulder neckline dot measurements. Construct a shoulder dot 2 inch away from the neckline. Construct a shoulder dot from mid of the shoulder. The design consists of a diagonal center front dot in the front bodies, shoulder and waist dot in the back bodies. There is a seam at the center front. The diagonal dot extends from center front to the bust point.
Now let's see how to make diagonal center front dot by dot transfer method. Use waist dot sloper, label A and B shoulder legs, draw a diagonal slash line from center front line and label C. Slash C2 apex point. Close the waist dot by pivot at apex point and move the point P to A, which makes the diagonal center front dot at C. Reduce the dot length half an inch from apex point. Diagonal center front dot completed. Now you are going to learn how to make diagonal center front dot. For this you can use single waist dot sloper and mark A and B at the waistline dots. Decide where you want the center front dot and mark C. I want diagonally from bottom, so I am marking 4 inches from the waistline and I am marking C. Draw a slash line from C to bust point. Slash C to bust point. Now you have to move B to A so that the waist dot will be closed and the dot will open at C. Pivot at the bust point and move B to A. It will make dot open at C. Secure the pattern with push pins and trace the pattern. Mark all corners. Mark the dot legs. Mark the bust point. Draw the neckline. Draw the armhole line. Draw the waistline. Once you completed all the marking, you can remove the working pattern. Draw the shoulder line. Draw the side seam. Mark the bust point. Mark the midpoint of the dot. Connect to the bust point. Mark half an inch away from the bust point. Then connect the dot legs. Now we can cut the pattern. Cut neckline, shoulder, armhole, side seam and waistline except center front line. Since we have a dot, we have to true it. Leave additional space for the truing. Since it is a horizontal dot, you have to crease the lower dot leg. Then crease dot center line. Cup the pattern. Then draw a straight line. Draw a straight line from center front neck to center front waist. Then cut the pattern. Now you learn how to make a center front diagonal dot from waistline dot.
The stitching of diagonal dots and center front are shown here. Here you can see the stitching of side seam and shoulder. The space between shoulder dot and waist dot is removed to make a fitted garment. When all the dots and seams stitched, you will get the desired design. This is the same stitching from the side view. This shows how garments fits to the body. While considering these two garments, the design of first garment comprises shoulder and waist dots in the front and back. The design of second garment consists of diagonal center front dot, shoulder and waist dot at the back. When the design changed, there is no difference in the fitting of the garment. Download the start and final patterns from the download section. Now, as per the given instructions, develop a pattern with diagonal center front dot from the basic front bodies. The pattern obtained after transferring the dot should match with the downloaded final pattern. Now, let's do some exercise for diagonal center front dot manipulations. Construct a diagonal center front dot which start from 4 inches below the neckline and ends at the bust point. The given garment design has a horizontal center front bust line dot in the front bodies and shoulder dot, waist dot in the back bodies. The center front bust line dot extends from center front to bust point in the bust level. The shoulder and waist dots of front bodies are modified to a single horizontal center front bust line dot.
Let's see how to make horizontal center front dot. Use waist dot sloper. Label A and B at waist dot legs. Draw a horizontal line from apex point to center front and label C at center front. Slash C to apex point. Close the waist dot by pivot at apex point and move the point B to A. This will close the waist dot and horizontal center front dot will open at point C. Reduce the dot length half an inch from apex point for smooth fit. Horizontal center front dot completed. Now we are going to make horizontal center front dot. That will come exactly on the bust line. First mark the bust line. From bust point to center front. Make a horizontal line from bust point to center front. Then slash the line. Mark C here. Now pivot at the bust point and move B to A. By doing this, it will close the dot at the waist and open the dot at the center front. Pin it to secure. Now we have to trace the pattern. Draw the corners. Then mark the dot ends. Mark the bust point. Draw the neckline curve. Draw the armhole curve. Draw the waistline. Once you completed the marking, you can remove the working pattern. Join the shoulder seam. Join the side seam. Now you can cut the pattern. Cut the armhole. Cut the waistline. Make sure it is smooth. Otherwise you can use the French curve to make it smooth. We have to true the dot, so leave extra space. Cut the center front. Mark midpoint of the dot. Mark the bust point. Connect bust point to midpoint of the dot. Mark half an inch away from the bust point. Draw the dot legs. Since it is a horizontal dot, crease the lower dot leg. Crease the center of the dot. Cup the pattern. And make a straight line. Draw a straight line from center front neck to center front waistline. Cut the pattern. You can mark the grain line parallel to the center front. You can mark either like this or like this, which will give the different design. The grain line will change. Then complete your patterns. Now you learn how to convert waistline dot to horizontal center front dot.
The stitching of bustline dot and center front is shown here. Side seam and shoulder seam is shown here. The closure of shoulder and waist dots is demonstrated. When all the dots and seams stitch, the garment will give the desired design and fit. In the given garment, the allocation of ease at every part of the garment is clearly visible. Here the same stitching is shown from the side view for better understanding. This shows how garment fits to the body and its ease for the body movements. In the given garments, the first garment has a shoulder and waist dot. The second garment has horizontal center front dot in the front. Back is same as first garment. When we compare the fittings of these two garments, there is no changes in the fitting. Both the garment gives the same fitting. Download the start and final patterns from the download section. Now, according to the given instructions, develop a horizontal center front bustline dart from the basic block. Check the final pattern after transferring dots against the downloaded final pattern. Develop a horizontal center front bustline dart with the design variation as shown in the video. The first design, the grain line of front is vertical above the bust level. Change the pattern like the second design, that is grain line vertical below the bust level.